剪刀时候讲话可以把它放到那个镜头的底下，对，尽量贴，尽量往上贴，对，这样，然后我看那个就对。10秒后来放进去。直播开始了，那我知道了还是去观看？去观看。好，有了。开始了。看到了，我是竖屏还是横屏？竖屏。好了，看得到了，就直接开始就行啊。好 ，Hello， 大家好，这里是咪咕 Panda 下饭放映厅，我是你们的饭搭子YanXuJia。今天晚饭呢，我跟大家会一起边吃边看边聊，走进旅外大熊猫的寻亲故事，一起关爱大熊猫。来了。可以介绍一下你的晚饭吃什么？介绍晚饭，今天晚饭呢是一非常就是清爽的晚饭，就是点了一些水果，简单的水果，因为中午吃的比较晚，所以不是很饿。大概就是这样，不知道你们的晚饭是什么呢？最近在忙哪些什么学校的过程？最近在忙我们期末汇报的那个戏剧舞台片段演出这一些排练这样子。可以介绍一下今天的视频。给大家介绍一下呢，今天呢我们要看的视频是纪录片《熊猫总动员》的第2期，就可以带大家解锁一些熊猫的知识。直接就开始是吧？好，我们开始了。
This little panda cub has his roots in the province of Sichuan in southwest China. His father was a wild panda from the high mountain forests
熊猫人太可爱了，
plateau.
小只。
But unlike most of the world's remaining giant pandas, this cub wasn't made in China. He was born in the USA. That's his name. And even though he's never seen his native country, at the age of 4, however hard he tries to hang on, he'll be going home to help prevent panda numbers from falling to 0.
先吃个菠萝。有些熊猫那么中国人那么喜欢是有原因的。黑白配色不就是山水画的配色吗？
Wulong in Sichuan province was set up in the early 1980s. Its mission to produce pandas. Despite the enormous difficulties in breeding captive pandas, that's exactly what the team here has done.
叫声真的是跟这个凶猛的外表非常不符。
Wulong is now home to more captive pandas than anywhere in the world. In the past few years,
我还没有见过这么多的熊猫，就是这么多实体的熊猫。之前去动物园见的都是几只那种的。我每次在网上看到这种视频，我都很担心它们的安全，会不会受伤。
Newly born panda cubs and their mothers live in special breeding pens in a quiet corner of the centre. Among the mother pandas is Hua Mei, who gave birth to her 3rd set of twins in the summer.
我之前在上海见到有一只熊猫，就叫佳佳，印象特别深，对它的名字。
Hua Mei is a very famous panda, and her name, which literally means USA and China, gives the first hint as to why. was born in 1999 in San Diego Zoo.
你说真的，我能盯着熊猫看一整天。
A few weeks later,
就是很
she
可爱。
emerged from the silence and seclusion of her den to face an ecstatic Western world. Described by the American press as the most important animal on the planet, the innocent bundle of black and white fluff was seen as a breakthrough in Sino-American relations, both scientifically and politically. Every move she made was documented, recorded, and photographed. But Hua Mei's parents came from Wulong and were only loaned to San Diego Zoo. Under the terms of the loan, all pandas remain the property of China, even their offspring. And so when she reached maturity at 5 years old, Hua Mei came to
太
Wulong.
可爱了，天哪！
我觉得是非常不容易的。像美国第一只熊猫华美啊，就是在圣地亚哥出生的，它是全美这个也是我们在中国
我怎么躺着？
第一只在海外繁殖存活并回国的大熊猫。
因为网上经常有他们那种，就干那啥事也不干，就躺在挂在那个地方那种，
社会对大熊猫的
那种视频。
是非常有帮助的，也可以通过这个事件提高世界人民吧对大熊猫等野生动物以及这个我们所这个待的这个生态环境保护这方面的意识。我觉得这个世界是
大熊猫就是在那里，只要趴着什么都不动，就会觉得很可爱，就能盯着傻笑很久。感觉在那树上挂着。
Hua Mei arrived at Wulong, her first son was born. He's still here, but he lives in a special enclosure.
下来。
When he was only a year old,
我听说跟熊猫交流只能用四川话，还不知道是不是真的。
Wulong pandas to act as a kind of diplomatic olive, or rather bamboo branch to Taiwan. Their combined names, Tuan Tuan and Huan Huan, mean reunited. They're loaned to zoos around the world on the understanding that it's just a temporary arrangement. So for many of the giant pandas that live in other parts of the planet, ultimately, all roads lead to China. And while he remains blissfully unaware, this little panda's life will change dramatically.
之前在朋友圈还看人说，就是说，去看那个熊猫之前，要提前学两句四川话，
His half-brother, Mei Xiong,
以便能什么跟大熊猫更加流畅的沟通。
not just because his name means United States or beautiful life. Following in Hua
之
Mei
前不是就有网上嘛说那个
became the second
你们跟熊猫讲话，他们还听懂，你们叫他们回头啊还是啥的，还真能听得见，
captive pandas
就很
outside
好笑。
China. There are only 5 pandas in San Diego Zoo, far fewer than Wulong, but still more than any of the dozen or so zoos around the world which have pandas. Those zoos have at most a pair of pandas, and they rarely breed. Over the years, San Diego has developed a special relationship with Wulong, exchanging staff and research information in a long-term bid to protect pandas in the wild. Just like Hua Mei, every Mei Xiong milestone, from the moment of birth to his first shaky steps, was watched by his keepers, devoted fans, and a posse of photographers.
我好像还没拍过大熊猫，应该有空去拍大熊猫的照片。
Fun. Except
而且这个背影就也很可爱，就是
more interested
说不出为什么。
than babies, she sometimes dismissed her young cub's persistent attempts at being nursed. But mother pandas need a huge amount of energy to care for their young, and since bamboo is low in nutrition, they have to eat around 10 to 15 kilos a day to compensate.
我这都不算吃播，看熊猫吃竹子才是真的吃播。
Explained to a hungry young panda cub.
这还是那种细的，我之前看他们那个熊猫吃那种特别粗的那个啃的好香啊，我都觉得好好吃，看着都觉得好吃。
For much of his early life, Mei Xiong was certainly not neglected, rarely alone, and always the center of attention. His first birthday
乱动。
in August 2004 was celebrated in style under the sweltering sun with what's known at San Diego Zoo as a fun enrichment item. They say it never rains in
下雪了。
California, but it seems it snows. It was designed to give Meisheng a taste of life in China, where a panda's natural habitat is sometimes covered in a blanket of snow. Because, like other stars at the height of their fame, celebrity pandas aren't cheap, their availability and contracts limited. San Diego, like other zoos outside China, pays an annual fee of $1 million for
大家都能露出一样的笑容，
and an additional fee
慈父慈母笑。
$1,000 for each surviving cub. Pandas are very popular and undoubtedly attract more guests through zoo gates, but recent research suggests they may not be paying their way.
哦，是冰做的呀，它的蛋糕。
And now that
等于他们还怕热，
he's
是
reached
吧？
the ripe old age of 4,
哦
the，time has come for him to join his half-sister, Hua Mei, in Wulong. And with a panda that has received as much human attention, it's important that he travels with a couple of staff from San Diego that he's familiar
我
with,
记得前段时间
just in case
大熊猫的保护等级是下降了，是吗？
Most notably, Lisa Bryant
真好。
has cared for Meisheng since he was just a
不
cub.
然网友说那个什么，因为什么降级了，好像就对他就不尊重了，怎么样？开玩笑嘛，说。
You want that? Are you not hungry, my boy?
这大熊猫是很爱睡觉的，是吗？
I'm anxious for him, but he's doing really great. He's doing great.
让他全程陪着嘛。哇，我飞了40个小时。
7,000 miles and 40 hours later, after an overnight in Shanghai,
回老家属于是。
Meisheng reaches Chengdu, capital of China's Sichuan province. Any doubts about the status of the giant panda in China?
这是几年的事儿啊？
Meisheng's plane lands.
07年的事儿。对，我看那时候大家都用那种小的相机，都是那样的，老老的。
But the public fascination is just as intense as in California.
嗯，
The only one who seems unfazed by the fuss is Meisheng. But perhaps it's because he doesn't know that the
欢迎
trip
大
is
熊猫
far from over.
So he's sleeping, and
他还在睡。
maybe he'll sleep for the ride. He does have some bamboo.
明明什么都没有做。
就如果他很活跃的话，反而可能有问题。对，太兴奋不好，这个太兴奋，这个休息是最好的。
女生回家。
Meisheng still has at least another 4 hours drive ahead of him, and whether he'll get much sleep or
真可爱。
rest on Sichuan's roads remains to be seen.
我家里现在还有那个当时在那个动物园买的那个熊猫的那个帽子。哇，这个车队，
The long and winding road to Wulong,
婚礼车队这
far
是。
drive from the freeways of California. As the only way to the giant panda's remote homeland, the route is precarious and the trip must be finished in daylight, for reasons
对方会晕车吗？
painfully obvious.
睡觉也就不晕了，是吧？
Do you see this? They are throwing rocks down on the road. Oh, we're not in Kansas anymore.
梅兄 is given the VIP
是啊，
treatment. He's a very important
我要吃。
panda. But what kind of reception will he receive when he reaches his new home?
大家天气转凉，注意保暖，不要感冒。
By the time Mei Xiong's convoy reaches the reserve, the light is fading, but not the enthusiasm of those waiting. Nearly 48 hours since Mei Xiong left sunny San Diego, the welcome in Wulong is overwhelming, and akin to the arrival of a head of state.
这是属于那个什么，村里最受关注的孩子回家了。
The giant panda's special status as China's national symbol. Even here at Wulong,
孩子出息回家了，大家村里的都来迎接了，
the population
站在村口。
more than 130.
好像阵仗这么大，他也不会吓着哦。天生就适合干这个，看来。千般宠爱的一生。
终于登场了，这是我们今天的明星。我想面对这样的场面，我们卧龙保护区的张和民局长心情同样的激动。我们有请张局长为
大熊猫应该是唯一一个有黑眼圈还好看的生物了。这是最多的，黑眼圈最深。
Oh, he's going to be good. Yeah. Be good. We've met in San Diego. She's sliding out of the crate. That's done.
这多舍不得啊！让我照顾那么久的，分开了可难受了。
Probably get some food, water.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get us something to eat too.
我之前在网上看过熊猫说它吃东西什么还会左右边那个嚼得很均匀，这边嚼一下，那边嚼一下。然后还吃南瓜是吗？你看又在睡觉，趴在那个地方吃南瓜吧，还是吃什么？不只是吃竹子。一片祥和。 每一张接下来都可以当头像、当壁纸的。
Next morning, the first day of Mei Xiong's new life dawns. His newfound
多好的群像啊，真的是。
aren't exactly in a hurry to meet him.
这样，
It's not as if pandas are a novelty at Wulong.
这是晾干。
Eventually, Mei Xiong will get to know some of the other
这不就是那种吗？小孩在去吃饭的路上就睡着了，吃饭吃到一半睡着了。
When he's fully mature, he'll join the breeding team in 2009 and follow in the ever-frustrated footsteps of Lulu, Wulong's star stud.
多香啊！我喜欢看它吃竹子，还会把那个皮剥开，
Lisa is keen to see another star.
然后咬的感觉很脆。
half sister, Hua Mei. Lisa hasn't seen Hua Mei since the panda left San Diego in 2004. Hua Mei has since given birth to 3 sets of twin cubs.
Baby girl. Look at that. I got my baby girl. And my baby girl's baby. And my baby girl's baby. Yes, it is.
好多啊！感觉一直在运竹子，怎么这么多？10公斤竹子得好多啊！无辜的小眼睛。吃竹子吗？我咬不动啊，我咬不动竹子啊。我要是能咬得动竹子，我也愿意吃竹子，真的。
A few miles upriver, Mei Shung will be quarantined for about a month, just to make sure he hasn't picked up any parasites, infection, or illness in the
看吧，
jungle.
大熊猫也没有特权，回来也得隔离。
If something was spread to other pandas at Wulong.
如果有那个运动场，你把它放几根竹子，然后再放门儿，一会儿你然后重新一个的。
For once the roles are reversed, and the panda paparazzi are pointing their lenses in the other direction.
This is the last time I'll probably see him for a very long time, if ever again, except in pictures. Yeah, I haven't felt really like he's.
要我是饲养员，我就学四川话，提前学习一下，找我们班上的四川人学习。
But the final farewell from the keeper, who's cared for Mei Shung since he was just a cub, is far from private.
但不是说，很多人说看着熊猫很可爱，想摸一摸吗？他们说熊猫的毛硬的就像那个什么短毛刷一样那么硬，所以说如果想摸熊猫的话，买个短毛刷摸摸就好了。
Life in the public eye, it may be
真的，我好像听说过这个说法，不知道是不是真的。 就用刷鞋那么长的那个，就是跟那个硬度是一样的，也不知道是不是真的。
But after all the hustle and bustle he's endured over the past few days, the peace and quiet may be welcome.
又在树上了。 这我觉得当壁纸真的很好笑，
Life goes on.
又可爱又好笑。看着就香。 云栖大熊猫
The leaves and temperature fall.
很挠痒，
Gives way to winter. And the Chinese year of the pig gives way to
鼠
the
年
rabbit.
哦，对哦，鼠年我弟出生了，那还真是我弟出生前一年。
This is Ching Ching, the cub born last Chinese New Year. Her mother was 15 years old when Ching Ching was born, almost a decade older than is usual for female pandas to give birth for the first time. Born after a record pregnancy lasting 324 days, Ching Ching is now exactly a year old. As she's 6 months younger than her peers,
灵活的小胖子。
Ching is kept separately in a special pen and plays only with her keepers.
就是因为我刚才说到，他的年龄比06年出生的还晚了半年，然后比07年正常出生的熊猫宝宝又提前了半年，所以他这个体主要是因为他体型的大小，跟这个06年或07年的混在一起饲养，管理都不太方便，而且就是说，可能会造成一些对他的负面的影响。所以说没办法把它单独建了一个小的这个空间环境，让它在里面生活。
好可爱，这个声音叫的。
Bundle, she now seems too much for even her keepers to handle, and plays in her pen alone. But her future might not be totally bleak.
所以这个熊猫应该说我们家的照顾的是非常特殊的，希望这个
又开始吃啥？我开始吃芒果了。
大一点的时候。
不是菠萝蜜，没有人的菠萝蜜是方形的。
共同生活，这样可能生活会更加活泼可爱，更加好。
But for the time being, Ching Ching must remain in her pen, kept apart from the 2007 cubs, which are beginning a new phase of their lives. The centre's youngest residents are around 6 months old and being separated from their mothers. This is Hua Mei's youngest cub, who's about to be parted from his mother before he's even been named. In the wild, he would stay with her until he was about 18 months old. The centre's staff will now take over the role of full-time carer.
是我们在这个选择一个适当的时段，将大熊猫妈妈跟它幼崽分开的话，是为了进一步提高大熊猫的繁殖效率。比如野生大熊猫，你按20年来说，它可能一年一辈子只能生个6胎就。 差不多了。那么人工繁殖我们可以。
这耳朵很可爱的立起来。
以上都有。
Apart from helping the centre achieve its breeding target of about 15 cubs a year, there are pressing practical reasons for early separation. The breeding pens also serve as mating dens, and the season is due to start soon. There simply isn't enough room for all the pandas and their cubs.
哎呀，抱孩子呀！哎，
For some of the
滑呀！
pandas, the process of separation will be gradual. For the next 2 months, the cubs will be taken from their mother for several hours during the day, and then returned to her. The time apart will be increased until spring comes, and after an official separation ceremony, they might never see each other again. Of course, for most of the cubs, it won't be the first time they've been separated from their mothers, as the majority of these births were twins and swap-reared. Their early days were divided equally between mother and nursery incubator.
这只明显听话多了。熊猫应该很沉吧？不知道，没有这个福气抱过熊猫。
Just a few years ago, the sight of so many panda cubs more than 6 months old is one which keepers at Wulong never thought
因
they'd
为它
see.
挺有镜头感的那个眼睛。
The panda cub mortality rate was so high that hardly any lived beyond a few weeks.
以前人工育根本来说，我们是属于一个长期摸索阶段，应该说很多大熊猫在被妈妈遗弃以后，如果是人工育的话，
哦，后面那只醒了。
有的只是短期的存活。
About half of all cubs, whether captive or
双胞胎。
wild, are twins. But in the wild, a panda will only nurse one cub and abandon the other.
No one knows
Knows
exactly why.
Wulong, by artificially raising
如
twins,
果认养一只大熊猫，会取什么名字？我会给它取名叫小熊猫。
panda population. In the wild,
开玩笑，小熊猫是另外一个物种。
cubs survive.
熊猫是大熊猫，
It's
小熊猫是小熊猫。
100%. There were 5 sets of twins born and successfully
那个熊猫
raised
背影最可爱的，那耳朵立起来。
and another 6 sets of twins delivered last summer. Though sadly, Yo-Yo's second cub was stillborn. Despite the fact she only raised a single cub, which therefore wasn't swap-reared and separated from her,
那熊猫好忧郁。
accept departing from her cub without a problem. But her neighbour, Mao Mao, only gave birth to a single cub, which almost died during a breech birth. While Mao Mao's cub is taken from
暴
her,
躁，
she becomes highly agitated,
不但做仰卧起坐可爱性。
swaying and pacing. Similar behaviour that she displayed when pregnant.
Clearly not taking the early separation from her cub.
She's clearly not taking the early separation from her cub in her stride.
But this year, for the first time,
你觉得饭后喝茶缓解了是吗？
First time,
你看饭后解油腻，虽然今天吃的也不油腻，
separated from their mothers.
喝个茶，
Princess
喝个熟茶吧。我看这有好多。
until they're at least 18 months old, about the age that panda cubs leave the mothers in the wild. Whether she likes it or not. A seemingly simple experiment. Her cubs, however, seem to be working to their own timetable. Having given birth 5 years in a row, Princess is considered a hero mother, and the panda most likely to cope with caring for 2 cubs at once.
这声音像小孩儿一样。
It was also hoped that as she'll not be taking part in this year's mating and breeding season, she'd get some well-earned rest.
糯米团子。不是熊猫可凶了吗？打架。这还是热的吗？这个水。要再烧一下吗？不要再，要不要再烧一下？
But it's not long before we get a hint as to why panda mothers
力不
find
从
it
心。
hard to raise more than 1 cub at a time, even with help from a keeper.
咋叫起来像小狗？喝点热的，对啊，茶是热的。好大的块头，圆圆的脑袋。
两个都想，这不没这个没得了。
然后还在吃东西，我一个人在那生闷气。
In the end, there's only one thing that seems to placate the cubs. For the time being,
公主是她名字叫公主吗？
we'll have to persevere.
哦，
Only another year of this to cope with.
喝的满嘴都是。哎呀， 强行给拔走了，被喝够。抱腿了我抱腿咋了我？哎，咱也不知道这是在蹭个啥。可高冷不理你，你看熊猫它高冷，可能是因为你们语言不通，你得讲四川话。真能爬树，爬那么老高。这刚睡醒了，这。
With winter slowly melting
随便抱腿，抱腿咋了？
Mei Xiong, San Diego's celebrity panda, is out of quarantine at last.
哎呀，
Down at the
天
center.
哪！这样放家里不就拆家的小孩吗？熊孩子。
Isolation, he seems keen to get out and about, but is being kept indoors for a little longer. He occupies a pen next to Lulu, one of Wulong's homegrown celebrities.
Mei Xiong's other neighbor
is an 8-year-old
Shimei.
female called Shimei. Once the only interest in Lulu's life, aside from bamboo, Shimei has returned from the breeding pens after what appears to have been a phantom pregnancy. She was one of Lulu's few fertilization failures. But in the past couple of years, he and the other males have had plenty of successes.
哇，哎呀，车队这是。为什么配的音乐这么的雄壮？
The baby boomers of 2006 are living proof that with a little help from artificial insemination, captive pandas can and do breed perfectly well. Perhaps a little too well.
混战这是。
In any case,
Aye.
both Lulu and Shimei can take comfort from the fact
奶妈奶爸不好当啊，这是。
is coming soon.
哦，
Whether it's necessary or wise to continue
甜蜜的负担这
at
是。
such a rate is open to debate.
冷不冷？不冷，在室内。北京室内有暖气。
Meanwhile, the day has finally arrived for this year's 14 panda cubs to be officially separated from their mothers. An event that requires tight security, with former armed police officers cunningly disguised to
史上最厉害的便衣，
while providing maximum panda protection.
过于这是什么过于的便衣了？这属于是。
啊，就现在这个呢，给我走成保持个队形了。啥的？哎，
警官们说这辈子没有这么无语过。
再见。可以稍微就是放松一些，对不对？好，来过来，对吧？行，开始往边走。前进，开始。晃悠的，慢
高到点儿，要不高到点儿。
好，就这样，
就这样就可以了吧？
对，就这样，
哎。
啊，当时还08年那个奥运会了，当时我还真的，我奥运会我还最喜欢的就是那个 熊猫的那个吉祥物，晶晶是不是叫？
Hollywood's Oscars.
印象特别深。
Accordingly, all
Chính vậy.
panda cubs, regardless of subspecies, receive the red carpet treatment. But unlike the other star-studded ceremony, transportation is not provided in limousines.
是一个购物车吗？还真的是。
The journey is just a few hundred meters from the breeding pens to the kindergarten. It doesn't really require the stability of a Rolls-Royce or Mercedes. ，But while the open-top design of the vehicles provides a clear view for adoring fans and panda paparazzi, they do little to contain their hyperactive passengers.
最终上哪儿去了？孩子想下车。哇，你这还得那么拽回来。
Eventually assembled for a quick photo opportunity. Some of the more adventurous cubs are keen to show off their acrobatic skills and climbing abilities.
对车，对。
那个太厉害了。
哎呀，心疼。永远是饲养员在那个把那个想要逃走的熊猫抓回来，感觉是。
It begs the more serious question: where will all the Wulong pandas eventually go? To a zoo, such as San Diego, or somewhere closer to home? 8 of the baby boomers of 2006 are bound for Beijing to show to the world.
别喝太多，小心失眠。熟茶还好，那种泡的熟茶，没有泡生茶。
Then
展示一下我的茶道，没有，别丢人现眼了。人手一只熊猫，对啊，什么时候中国能人均熊猫那就厉害了。
Princess's cubs have also found international fame and are busy on location for a forthcoming feature film. Color, not black and white.
一直都喝茶吗？有这个习惯，但平常比较忙。
Clear what impact their absence will have on the
之前我爷爷奶奶说：“哎呀，你那个平常
months.
闲的没事的时候啊，多喝喝茶对身体好。”我说：“谁20岁的时候那么有空天天喝茶呢？”但确实有空喝茶是好的。
Arrangements and far from long-term plans for the pandas.
因为我们进行大熊猫这个人工繁殖，就是一律保护的目的，它不光是将
喝的什么茶？我刚喝的那个是
人工环境中，
那是叫秋什么熟茶。
将这个人工繁殖的大熊猫通过
熟的普洱茶，
培训，然后选择这个条件适宜的大熊猫放到野生环境中去。
But which one of these captive bred creatures
四川人均一只熊猫，那还了得！哎，
unknown?
恶龙咆哮。
And a wild that is still being
感觉茶好苦，
populated
还小吧，
species.
小孩子不懂喝茶，年纪大点就觉得好喝了。今天看熊猫纪录片的感受，感觉很下饭，对吧？茶余饭后嘛，不就是那个看看大熊猫还挺好，然后就是觉得大家可以多关注，然后关爱一下大熊猫，因为确实是非常中国特色的一种动物吧。虽然现在已经不是濒危是吧？现在是真的是什么级别？但也是保护动物，反正大家就是还是要关爱大熊猫。看完啦，也吃饱啦，下次呢吃饭咱们可以接着约。想看更多大熊猫呢，可以来咪咕视频和咪咕 Panda 一起云上动物园看云上动物园。大家消消食，早点睡哦。可以再见了是吗？奶茶很少是真的茶叶，多喝点正常的茶吧。好了，那我先走了，拜拜。这怎么结束啊？这个结束了吗？没有。